What's up, y'all? You're watching Union Minded. I'm your host, Eric, and today we are going to talk about a song that's blowing up the internet at the moment, and I'm sure you have heard of this one already.
I've been selling my soul, working all day, overtime hours for bullshit pay, so I can sit out here and waste my life away, drag back home and drown my troubles away. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me, people like you. Wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Living in the new world with an whole soul. Richmond, North of Richmond, Lord knows they all just wanna have total control. Wanna know what you think, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. 'Cause your dollar ain't shit, and it's taxed to no end. 'Cause the rich men, North of Richmond.
You've heard it. It's the jam. I got to admit, that first chorus, that first verse, the bars, it's a jam. He's missing forward on some things though. But as I'm watching this cultural phenomenon called Oliver Anthony make waves with his song North of Richmond, got me to thinking about his lyrics. And while the first verse strikes gold, the second verse lands flat. And I printed up his lyrics just so we could talk about them. But I wanted to kind of do a little video breaking down what is so ridiculous about this song, because he's striking a chord. This song is blowing up, and it's not just because right wingers are pushing this song. It's not that. This song is striking a chord with working people. Why? Because we are all feeling the same economic anxiety. I keep telling you guys, there is a level of frustration bubbling underneath the surface of working folks. People understand we're getting the raw end of the deal. Brother Anthony wrote a beautiful song here, but misses the mark because he aims his ire at the wrong people. So let's get into what I'm talking about. This song, like I said, it strikes a chord in working folks because the disparity of income is real, and people feel it and they know it. People know that they're getting screwed. That's intuitive. People are intuitively very smart. If they're not practically educated on a lot of different things, intuitively, they're smart. They know the climate's getting hotter. They may not be able to explain why summer feels worse than it did last year, but they know things are getting hotter. They know their money isn't stretching as far. They know gas prices are going up, and they may not be able to tell you why about everything, but they know something ain't right. There's so much misdirection that forces us to aim our discontent at the wrong people. Now, my issue that I take with this song is that he points his anger and frustration in the wrong direction. Conservatives love to point down for the source of their problems. They love to point at the government for the source of their problems. But conservatives seem to hate pointing to capitalism, to corporatism, to greed or big business as the source of their problems, when in truth, those are the sources of your economic problems and your economic woes. Oliver strikes a chord, but he misses the mark by a ton because he's aiming it at politicians and he's aiming it at poor people on welfare, and he's not even mentioning the big businesses, the wealthy elite, the ones that pay no taxes, the ones that hide their money offshore. He's not mentioning any of that. Instead, he's mentioning the DC politicians who are bought by who again? Let's hear that. Who pays for the DC politicians again? That's right, big business. Big business hires the politicians to actually write the laws that actually hurt working people. And instead of us actually blaming the rich business owners who are hurting us, we're blaming the people that they want us to blame, which is the politicians and the poor people. As long as you're not pointing at me, I can keep on skating free. This is old hat. It's an old trick. It's old and it's been done for 400 years. It's old. It's an old trick. Rich men north of Richmond aren't the ones who caused this disparity that we're living under, is what I'm trying to tell you. Hell, you could trace that back all the way down to Bacon's Rebellion in 1676, because that's where the tools of separation were the result after the first successful rebellion against the elites. Legal scholar Michelle Alexander writes, the events of Jamestown were alarming to the planter elite, who were deeply fearful of the multiracial alliance of indentured servants and slaves. Word of Bacon's rebellion spread far and wide, and several more uprisings of a similar type followed. In an effort to protect their superior status and economic position, the planters shifted their strategy for maintaining dominance. They abandoned their heavy reliance on indentured servants in favor of the importation of more black slaves. After Bacon's rebellion, you must understand that white became an actual thing. There was no more indentured servitude. Poor whites were no longer going to be working next to slaves. They were no longer going to have an ability to see each other as equals. Poor whites were elevated to an overseer class. And Africans and the descendants of Africans were lowered to a permanent slave class. That's what happened when poor whites and slaves united, because economically they were both getting trampled on. The powerful said, ooh, we got to split that group up. It's been going on ever since. A master class in division. It's been going on ever since. After Bacon, poor white indentured servitude was abolished, creating a permanent African slave class and lifting poor whites to the overseer status. This was done south and east of Richmond by rich men, not from DC. But I digress. If you listen to the lyrics in the chorus, he is describing corporations like Facebook, Google, and Twitter. And what am I talking about where he says that? He says, and I quote, where is it? They want to know what you think. They want to know what you do. And they don't think you know, but I know that you do. Who wants to know what you think and know what you do? They're called algorithms. You ever notice that when you're talking to somebody about something, all of a sudden you get served ads about that product? You think that's the government doing it to you, or do you think that's the businesses doing it to you? We have to outsmart this class of individuals that has been screwing us for centuries. And this ain't it. This ain't how you outsmart them, by not blaming the right people and instead falling for their misdirections. All right, so he's talking about Facebook. He's talking about Google. He's talking about the richest corporations that just want to be in your home, in your pocket, in your life, feeding you stuff that you can buy because they want every dollar you are ever worth. He says, our dollar ain't shit, but the Federal Reserve controls interest rates and they're a private bank. So again, it misses the mark. We are taxed to no end. This is big facts, but where is the venom for the rich men who lobby to pay no taxes? Both left and right politicians and businessmen visited Epstein Island, and I take no issues with the line about looking for minors on an island. It's just not useful because that's not where our economic anxiety is coming from. It's not the reason we're in this position. He also takes a shot at people on welfare. Conservatives love to punch down, but because these cowards just won't punch up. Welfare recipients aren't why you're struggling. In 1 year, the average American taxpayer making $50,000 pays $36 towards food stamps, $6 towards other safety net programs, and $4,000 towards corporate welfare. Where's the line about the corporate welfare that we're paying out the nose for? And as for progressives who are raking this kid across the coals, you guys know you're not helping the situation either. Because like it or not, working people are both left and they're right, and they're both struggling and being dominated by the same wealthy corporations, the same wealthy elite that are crushing all of us. It doesn't help to beat them over the head. What helps is education. You guys have to stop seeing the enemy in everything. I think Oliver is frustrated at the current state of affairs for working people. He's from the South, so is it really all that surprising that he misses the mark on some of his points? It's not. The Daughters of the Confederacy had a hand in molding and shaping the culture young Oliver grew up in. Ignorance does not imply evil intent. The right wing is trying to adopt Oliver into their sick club, but what I know to be true is that we will all continue to suffer if we allow pettiness to continue to divide us. Try a little tenderness. Try a little education instead. Try not to be so hot-headed. Try to understand. Try to look at the world through your opponent or through your adversary's eyes so that you can see the world as they see it and maybe find commonality. This whole blowing up over everything and fighting everybody over everything ain't it. That song that this young man wrote, it struck a chord. There's a good reason it struck a chord, and we ought to pay attention. And we ought to try to unite these different factions that are all suffering on the same economic ladder rung, yet cannot seem to become a team to help lift the entire status of all of us up above this suffering that we're all under. That's what I got for you. My name's Eric. You're watching Union Minded. Remember, the fight is not left and right. It's up and down. It's going to take solidarity to win always. Each one teach one. Get out there and reach one. And remember, there could be no union without you and I front and center. Peace.